Hello and welcome to Newsmakers, the video series that takes you beyond the car washing and detailing headlines. Today on our Newsmaker interview, we welcome Stu Crum, CEO of True Blue Car Wash. Hello, Stu, and thank you for joining us here today.
Hi, Rich. Great to see you, and thrilled to be with you today.
Fantastic. So today we're talking about the news of True Blue adding 5 additional locations to the chain. And with this acquisition news, Stu, you're growing your car washers chain's number of locations by about 13%, bringing the chain's total number of locations to 43. So can you tell us why these 5 locations in particular were an ideal acquisition target for your chain?
Yeah, so we like the Arizona market. We had 13 locations prior to this acquisition. We just purchased 5. We moved into some markets of Arizona we previously hadn't been to. So Yuma, we hadn't previously been in. I'm actually building a car wash right now in Casa Grande, which is between Tucson and Phoenix. And we also moved to Flagstaff. So moving outside of the metro Phoenix area, if you will, and this acquisition was perfect in doing that.
Now you mentioned Arizona, certainly a state that your chain operates in, but the chain also operates in less saturated areas of the country, such as Connecticut. So can you tell us what the specific challenges and opportunities exist when competing in saturated versus, more open areas of the country?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I don't really find it much different from a competitive standpoint, whether I'm in, we're in Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, which you say probably aren't as saturated as Arizona, being one of the more saturated markets in the country. I think it comes down to no matter where you market, it's all about great customer service. It's all about great operating standards, right? The process, the systems, things you put in place. Either you're a good operator or you're a bad operator, no matter where you are, and whether you have great competition or you have no competition. Arizona with the Clean Freak brand, we got a lot of competition in that market, and we compete very well, but we've got a great team in Arizona. We have the Personal Touch brand in the Northeast, and although it is not as competitive as many as locations around, I find the business equally as competitive as I do find in the Southwest. We've got to get up every day and do the right thing. The weather is not as good in the Northeast as in the Southwest. We have a lot of dust in the Southwest. Cars get dirty a lot easier or quicker, I should say, than they do in the Northeast. So I really, from an operations standpoint, don't operate any differently in Arizona than we really do in Connecticut, Rhode Island, or Massachusetts.
And regardless of the state or location, this year's pandemic that we've seen has certainly touched car washes, like I said, regardless of where they're from. So I'm curious to know, how has True Blue car washes, how have their operations changed, and then how has the chain's acquisition and new development strategies been altered, if at all, with this year's pandemic?
Yeah, it was funny when the pandemic really hit its stride early March. Me and my CFO and our team, we actually did some pretty significant scenario planning, and we planned for the worst, Rich. I mean, we really thought the bottom was going to fall off. Surprisingly, probably to you and the rest of the industry, it really hasn't happened. From a revenue standpoint, yes, we were affected in March, but it came back in April, came back strong May and June. I had a record June, both from a revenue and an EBITDA perspective. And so it's interesting to note that the pandemic is real, but the car washing, in particular on the express side, wasn't as affected as much as I thought it would be, or really at all. I want to put one caveat on that, though. We have 4 full-serve locations in the Northeast, and we felt the impact in March, and we're still feeling the impact today. Customers, we actually converted every one of our full serves to an express. So we never once closed a car wash during this entire process, but we did convert them to the express model. We've opened back up full service, but many customers are not as likely to get out of their vehicle, go into a waiting room, and get back out now. So we've kept that express option. I will tell you that our volumes are down a little bit, those full service locations. They're still performing, but not as well as they did before. More interesting is that the expresses have really outperformed what we thought they would. And I think it's because customers can stay in their car. They can, the gate can open up, they can go through without really even speaking to or touching another human being. And we have found that a little surprising, but very exciting, because the business has outperformed what we thought it would during the pandemic. Second question is our growth strategies. Well, we just closed on 5 locations last Friday. I will tell you, back in March and April, we were talking to our investors and to our financial sponsors and even to the banks. We thought that there might be some problem closing. The banks were a little bit leery at that time. They're considerably less leery today than they were 4 months ago. And we did not have problem financing those acquisitions at all. And our growth plans, we're up to 43 locations. We'll be 43. We open our first greenfield actually in 2 weeks in Casa Grande. I had mentioned that earlier. But we don't necessarily want to be the biggest in the industry, but operationally, we want to be one of the best. I don't think we're there yet, but we're getting a lot better, and the process and systems we're putting in place, I think will get us there someday. And we want to continue to grow for our owners, our investors, and be a force to be reckoned with throughout the country. Now, one last comment I would say: we have 3 brands. We have our Personal Touch brand in the Northeast, we have Rainstorm in the Midwest, and we have the Clean Freak brand in the Southwest. And those are the 3 brands that we would like to continue to grow in those 3 geographies.
Okay, great. And you mentioned, some of our industry's largest operators, especially those that are featured on our top 50 list, which I know True Blue has been a mainstay on that list for a number of years now. So certainly in the ballpark of some of the biggest or largest operators in our industry. We've seen some of those bigger operators in recent years partner with private equity firms and really have a more aggressive growth strategy than we've seen in previous decades per se. So can you tell us what is True Blue's growth strategy moving forward?
Yeah, so we're one of those companies. Our major financial sponsor is Goldman Sachs, fairly good size international investment group. We have a family office that's invested in our business, and we have some smaller investors. So it's not just Goldman. We got a group of people. The original founder of the business is also an investor in the business. But we do have a growth strategy. I can't tell you that it's 20 car washes per year. If it's 50 car washes or 5, When I joined the company as CEO, we had 27 car washes. That's 18 months ago. We now have 43. That's pretty good growth. That's 17 new additions in my first 18 months here. And I'd like to think we're going to be along that pattern. As we get better at growing, as we get better at integrating these sites into our processes and systems, as we bring new and better teammates into this organization, maybe we can grow a little bit faster. But it's kind of the crawl, walk, run philosophy. A lot of people might think we're running. For me, it just feels like a quick walk. And I think at some point we'll pick up some speed and maybe we'll be a little faster pace.
All right. Well, we certainly thank you for taking the time here to join us and do this Newsmakers interview for Carwash.com. Congratulations on the 5 additional locations, and we wish you and True Blue all the best moving forward.
Thank you very much, Rich. Great talking to you today.